Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. I am so excited for this one. You might be able to tell, but this is a project that I have planned around 2 years ago, and I didn't get started on it because when it's just one of those that is going to take a long time. It was also really outside my comfort zone, and I am so glad that I challenged myself. I'm really happy with how he came out. I'm making a gnome that is basically almost the size of me, and the other thing is that they are selling these for £80 in store. We're not going to be spending that, so I'm going to show you how to make this gnome for £15 to £20 depending on what you have already. This cost me around 15, but I am going to be using a lot of pound supplies, so that's going to push your costs even lower. I actually thought of making this gnome before they even appeared in stores, so I'm a bit annoyed at that, but this is the only DIY video that I have found for a gnome like this and this size, not just on YouTube but the whole of the internet, so that's a big deal. I've even made his arms to bend so you can pose him however you like. I really hope that you enjoy this video. Let's get started. So I'm going to be starting off with these boots. I'm not going to make my own because these are in store. It's really easy, just saves you the hassle, and they are cheap and they look great too. So these were £2 each. So this is what I'm going to be using for the legs. These were just some spares off a shelf, so you can use anything you've got lying around, a pool noodle, maybe some wood, but this is what I'm going to be using. Alright, so this is my material. Of course, I've turned it the other way, and I'm going to take my plastic legs and just really roll the material around the leg, and we're going to stick it with the hot glue and cut its size. So here's my hot glue, and I'm just going to make sure that I add plenty, and I'm going to stick it one little part at a time. And now add some more glue to stick the two sides together, and then I'm going to cut it and trim it. Now grab your scissors and cut along the leg. And then I'm just going to tuck this part in. I've added some hot glue inside a tube. That's just going to stick it together. Now I'm doing the same thing with the other leg, and really this is kind of like a rolling pin with this process here. Now we're going to mix some of this up, which is some rapid setting cement. So we're basically going to pull that in to the boot so that there is some weight and it holds up the legs. So this is my boot. I've covered it with a bag and I've made a hole, as you can see there, just to protect the shoe or the boot so none of the cement gets on this part here. So here's my two boots prepared, ready for the pull. And I'm just going to plunk that through the boot there. So I've removed the bag now, and I'm going to place the leg right in the center of the boot. And then I'm going to leave this to set, and I'm doing the same with the other boot. Here's the second boot with the cement inside. Once you're done, just gently pull your bag out, making sure that it doesn't touch the boot. And then taking your leg again, just center it inside, position it, and then leave it to set. So for the body of the gnome, you're going to grab two of these. These are £1.50 in Poundland, and what we're going to do is have it this way and then have the other one on top. So here's my bucket, and I'm just removing the handles. This is one handle down and just one to go on the other. Now take whatever glue you're using. I'm going to stick with hot glue and apply it all around the rim, and then you're going to just stick this on top of it. So here's my legs and this is the body so far. I'm going to place the body on top of the legs and this is how it's going to look. You can see it's pretty long, but I just had one concern when it came to the legs, because the point of contact is really small. Like, this is where I was going to place my hot glue. I'm just worried that that is not going to be enough to secure the body on, so I've come up with this solution. I'm going to be recycling this, and what I've done is I've pressed it on to the legs like this so that I can get the measurements. So you can see the circles, it kind of embosses, and I've drawn along it with some felt tip, and I'm going to just carve this out with my craft knife. I've also gone and put it on top of the body and I've drawn under it like this so that I know how much to cut. So I've got my circle again, I've marked it, and I'm ready to cut all of this. And what I'm going to do is place this on top, or rather get the legs to go inside the holes there, and it's going to give it some stability to hold the two legs together, but also so we can glue this on to the platform here, again just for strength. So this is how it looks now, and the body just goes on top. Now to work on the body, I'm going to be taking this blanket and I've measured it to cover the whole part here, so the length. I'm going to get it just to cover that, so right here, and I've also measured it for the width as well. So I'm going to take my hot glue now and apply it to the top and the bottom to secure the material. So this is how it looks at the moment. And now what you want to do is stick this, tidy up. You can have it like overflowing if you want, but I'm going to stick mine to the bottom of the bin or of the body and just tidy it around. So for the beard, this is what I'm going to be using, and this is really the cheapest option. This is just a thrifted fur collar, part of a coat. So I've taken this apart, and what you want to do is shape it like this. So when you stick it down like that, and that's going to be the beard, and we're going to fluff it up so it looks a lot better. And I'm going to be sticking it right here, so it's going to come down about here, and that's great because it will kind of hide this part here. And this is how it looks with the beard on now. Then I moved on to making his hat, and I measured the bin, so the top, I measured half a circle, and that's actually what I used the masking tape for there. And then I just measured accordingly on my material so I know how much to cut. I then took a pencil and I drew a hat shape, and then I copied that as a template so I can make two pieces so we can stick it together to form the hat. Once I had my two pieces of material cut, I then took my hot glue and placed it all around the hat, sticking the two sides together. I then took some of the toy stuffing and filled the hat with that as well. For making the nose, this was the easiest option I could think of. I just took some tights, skin coloured ones, and some of that toy stuffing. Again, you can just use the inside of an old cushion. And I placed it inside and just turned the tights inside out, and then created a knot at the back and cut off the excess. Then I used my hot glue to stick it onto the gnome. I then took the hat that I made and I stuck it on as well. For the arms of the gnome, I took the same material, and again I just measured how long I want his arms to be, and so that scrap piece of material is just my indicator for how long I want it. I then cut off the material and again used it as a template to create another identical piece. I took one sleeve and turned it into a tube shape and just stuck the two pieces together to create a sleeve. And of course I did the same to create the second arm. Once I was done with both arms, I turned them inside out and I was ready to work on the hands. I created some mittens. I went back to using that fleece material, the blanket that I used for the main body, and how I did the mitten was actually placing the sleeve on the blanket so I can see how big I want the hand, and I drew that with a faint pen and then I cut them out. I used the first mitten as a template so that I can draw 3 more mittens because you need 4 in total, 2 for each hand. I then took my hot glue to stick the mitten directly onto the sleeve, so I had the back or the bottom mitten there, and then I took the other side of the mitten and stuck it on top. I repeated the same process for the other arm, and then once I was happy I took my toy stuffing, slipped that through the arm all the way down to the mitten, and then I took my hot glue to close the mitten up onto the sleeve. I wanted to add a little bit of detail, so I took this faux fur in colour white and I measured it to size, again used it as a template to cut an identical piece, and then I stuck it on to the bottom of the sleeve onto the mitten using my glue. So of course again I just repeated the same thing, so I have 2 identical arms and I think they are really cute. Now this is optional, but I really wanted to add some wire in the arms so I can move them around and I can pose him however I like. I took this, which was the thickest wire that I can find in my craft stash, and I doubled it over and made sure that it fits lengthwise, and then I cut them just to size of course, and then I placed them, just slipped them through the arm or the sleeve all the way down to the mitten so that even the hand can be moved. You might find that there is friction or force from the stuffing when you try to place the wire in the arm, because that's what happened with me. So what I did was I just moved all of the stuffing, kind of took the wire right to the end or to the side of the sleeve, and I managed to slide it in really easily that way. I took my glue gun to close up both arms and then I attached them to the gnome. Make sure when you're doing this that you don't stick the arms too high or too low. I decided that this part on the gnome looks a little bit plain, so I took that same white faux fur and I decided to make a little belt for him. I just cut its size, doubled it over and then stuck it down with my hot glue. I also wanted to add a little bit more dazzle, a little bit of embellishments, so I took these wooden stars that are covered in gold glitter and I stuck them on throughout the material. I then took this felted gingerbread and I took another embellishment and stuck them both on the side of his hat, and here he is having a drink, celebrating his birth in all his glory, standing at 5 foot. My cats really loved him, by the way. Both of them were just so intrigued, like, who is this human? What is he? Is he even human? And I did add a lantern to his hand. That's why I love that I added wire, because you can just move them, you can make him hold whatever you like. So I decorated this lantern with some bells and greenery, and yeah, I just love him. What do you guys think? This is definitely the biggest and longest project I have ever done on my channel. So there you go, you don't need to buy them in store and you can save yourself so much money and have a go at this yourself. Plus you're going to love him a lot more because you made him by hand. Well, that's it from me. I can't believe that a day-long project was edited down to 13 minutes, but there you go. I hope you've enjoyed watching from me, the gnome, and the cats.